Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we'll be taking a look at the new Walgreens exclusive Marvel Legends Binary. For anyone that may not be familiar with Binary, she is actually a form of Carol Danvers, who is more commonly known as Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. And it was a somewhat short-lived stint for the character where she was fighting the Brood alongside the X-Men, and they did these, experiments on her and gave her basically like the power of the sun. So, very, very different looking form for the character. I mean, I wouldn't blame you for not recognizing her. She looks more like the Human Torch than, Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. That being said, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Binary's packaging, then we'll open it up. We'll get a good look at the figure inside, we'll check out her posability, her accessories. I'll conjure up some sort of a group shot or comparison today, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Binary comes in your standard Marvel Legends packaging. No fancy Build-A-Figure call-out, not even a symbol at the top there. So pretty plain packaging compared to some. And we can see our figure right here inside the window. You get your main figure, you get an alternate pair of closed fists, you get some energy effects, which look like the ones that come with the new X-Men Jubilee toy. And then you get what look like fireballs to go around her fists. You get her name right there, the Marvel logo. On the side, you get some pretty cool artwork of Binary just flying through the cosmos. She's got like a sunspot thing going on in her eye there. It's pretty interesting. And then over here, we get the same artwork, just a better view of it. And I always wondered, if this was like a full body suit or a really, really skimpy one. But given the folds going on around here in the waist section, I think this is just like a full body suit that covers all the way up to her neck. So I always wonder, right? Because it's kind of hard to tell because her face is kind of the same color as all this. All right, so we get her name right here, Marvel's Binary, right? Because binary is a pretty common word. They got to put Marvel's in front of it. And her flavor text reads, "An alien experiment conducted by the Brood transforms Carol Danvers into Binary, a being who can tap into unprecedented cosmic power." So I don't think it quite puts her on the same level as Silver Surfer, but it did make her very powerful there for a while until she eventually exhausted all that power and just became herself again. So overall, pretty cool. I do very much dig the artwork. Do wish the box had a little more flourishing to it, but that's okay because I don't buy these for the box. So that being said, let's go ahead and open this up. Now we get to see our figure free of its packaging. You get your main toy right here. You get your two swirling flame effects that are meant to kind of wrap around her more open hands. You get her closed fists, and then you get a pair of fireballs that are supposed to go over those fists if you want to use them. So it appears that Binary here, from the neck down, uses a bunch of different parts that are just very commonly used with female figures. I recognize quite a few of them. Like the torso area here, the legs. Even recognize the arms, the upper torso bit, complete with big old gaping holes in the back. And this is something I've seen already for a figure that I have yet to release a review for. But so I'm pretty familiar with this piece, and it's really unfortunate that they don't do something to cover up those holes when they, use that piece for a figure, but don't actually utilize the holes themselves. So it's really a shame. So I think most of her pretty generic buck pieces, and then you get her head, which I think is a new piece, though it could be a generic bald head just with the flame hair glued on. Not really sure, but it looks pretty cool. It's very, very striking. I think the flame hair looks really nice. Her posability is really good. She's got the ball joint and hinge combo, so she can look way down, look way up. She has standard universal shoulders. She has a single bend elbow, which doesn't bend very far, unfortunately. She does have elbow rotation, her universal wrists. She has the upper torso ball joint, like most female characters. And like most female characters, she lacks an actual waist swivel. She does have universal hips, though her ability to actually bring those hips out is extraordinarily limited. It's a real shame. She's got a thigh swivel here. She's got her double bend knees, and then ankle rock and rotation. Now, one thing that's interesting is the way that she's painted up. because she has, all these color gradients going on because of the flame effects. So she is almost exclusively made of either white or red plastic. And, what's what kind of depends on what's painted and what's not. So her head is red plastic, as well as the very upper parts of her thighs, above the swivel there. And then I think every other main part of her, except for maybe like just the inner mechanical workings of the shoulders, are all done up in white. So her thigh areas here are white, just painted with like yellow and orange and red. And you can actually tell here because I unfortunately have some chipped paint right there, which really makes the white shine through and kind of breaks up the look, which is not good. And then the upper arms are also white plastic painted with yellow, orange, and red. And then, of course, her hair is just the same type of clear orange plastic that her flame effects are. So overall, she's pretty simple. I will say she's cool looking. I like the fire effects and everything. But she's also maybe not the most exciting design out there. I don't know. To me, she just seems too much like just generic fire lady. I guess the only thing that really makes her unique is the fact that she has the 2 stars right there on her chest. And no, that's really it. So not a bad toy by any means, but I don't know. She just kind of looks like the girl version of Human Torch, so, or maybe Fire Lord. But she plays pretty well. I think her posability could definitely be better. Her elbow bend isn't great, and the just hip range of motion is very limited. All right, so we want to take a look at what she comes with. So these are those swirling flames that I mentioned. And you just kind of wrap them around her hands and forearms and stuff in a way that suits you. So let's get those on there. Get this one on here. These aren't always very easy to get on, but if you kind of work them on there and twist them as you go, it should work. Go ahead and get that little flame right there. All right. So that's pretty cool. So you can get something that looks like this, which looks like she's just kind of charging up power, and it's very neat. Or, alternatively, we can remove her open hands. Be very careful when you do, not to like squeeze the fingers because they're very thin and will probably break. So, get those open hands off. And then we give her fists. And the fists are cool. Always good for fighting poses, right? She looks like she's about to go hand-to-hand combat with somebody. And Carol's always like superhumanly strong, so she does that a lot. So you can just get her like a generic fighting stance if you want. Or you can have her using fireballs. And that's always cool, right? Who doesn't like some really cool fireballs? So we could do something like this. Have her readying some sort of fire-based attack. So really, either display option, whether you go with the swirls, the fireballs, or maybe 1-in-1, right? You can mix and match. I think they really help add to an otherwise kind of plain-looking figure and just spruce her up a good bit. Now here is a comparison shot with the villainous character Shriek from the Armadillo Build-A-Figure wave. And the reason I have these two together is to show off just how much is reused between these two figures. And not everything between them is the same. The upper torso area between these two is different. And the easiest way to tell is because, well, Shriek's is a little more skin tight around the cleavage. Plus, she doesn't have the big holes on the back. She also has completely different upper arms. And I imagine they're probably the newer style because they actually have a bicep swivel and a double elbow bend, unlike hers. So it gives Shriek, much better and much more articulated arms. The forearms, however, I believe are the same piece, if not very similar ones. And the hands, they actually use the same open hands. Like the asymmetrical, where one of them is just open, the other one's kind of got the fingers curled a little bit. Same exact hand pieces. And I believe they use the same fist pieces too. Then when we move down to the lower abdomen, this is actually the same piece between them. And I think the legs are different here. Like the upper legs, hers seem to be a little more thickly built. Functionally, they're about the same, but I think hers are not quite as slim as Carol's here. And then the knees are a bit different. Carol's knee joints seem to be a bit longer. And then I can't tell with the calves. Those might be the same pieces. And then the shoes are definitely the same piece. They have the exact same folds in the, like where the toe meets the top of the shoe and everything. So I'd say about maybe 50-50 parts reusage, which isn't too bad. But then again, these are far from the only female characters to use these exact body parts. So that is, one of the unfortunate sides of Marvel Legends. It kind of falls into like that Motu mindset of all the guys just kind of reuse the same body type and all the women you reuse the same body type. Or at least when it makes sense, especially when we're dealing with characters that have the skin-tight outfits, where everything's just some sort of like a one-piece leotard or something. Then you see a lot of heavy parts reusage, which on the one hand can make things feel kind of samey, but on the other, it also means that they can produce these toys a little more cheaply, which means they can make more of them and make them at a lower price, or, well, hopefully a lower price. As much as prices have been going up lately, I imagine these Legends figures would cost more if they weren't able to recycle molds nearly as often as they do. And now here's a shot of Binary with my recently reviewed animated series Jubilee. And I wanted to get them together to show the part reusage here for the swirling effects. And you can see that they are indeed the same pieces. Now luckily, as far as their bodies, these two don't seem to share any parts. Because Jubilee is a little more specialized, right? She's a kid, so she's a bit smaller, she needs different parts. Plus, her clothes aren't all, skin tight and frankly X-Men-like, because Jubilee has a very unique style compared to the other X-Men. So she does get a little more unique and, customized tooling, which is something that's always fun to get when we can get it. But this shot is a really good example of just how adaptable these effects pieces are. Because in Jubilee's case, these are meant to be like kinetic fireworks, right? Just kind of pure energy. And then in Binary's case, it's fire. And it can really work for either one. So that does, of course, lead to effects parts being reused over and over again. But kind of like with the body parts, as long as it makes sense and it doesn't compromise the look of the toy, I'm really okay with it. And this completes our look at Marvel Legends Binary. Overall, this isn't, the most unique figure out there. It is one of your cookie cutter, just female superhero type characters. But I feel that she does enough different between the hair and the cool like fireball effects and stuff to really just have a place in, a big comic book fans collection. Plus, it's a very rare opportunity to own this lesser known version of Carol Danvers. So I think, for what it is, it's pretty good. Now, it's a little bit hard to get compared to most Legends toys because it is a Walgreens exclusive. Those exclusives don't tend to stay stocked on their website for very long. And, depending on what kind of Walgreens you have in your area, your mileage may vary. My Walgreens stores have stopped carrying Legends altogether. Like, just stopped. They don't even bother trying to carry them anymore. So for me, it's either online or nothing, which can be frustrating. Because unlike certain Hasbro original brands like Tformers, when it comes to partner exclusives for licensed toys like Marvel Legends and Star Wars, Hasbro doesn't stock them on Pulse. Like, you can't just go on Hasbro Pulse and have your, premium membership and just, pre-order it whenever you want. Nope. You either get it through Walgreens website, or you go to a Walgreens store and hope they have it. So that, can make this a little difficult to get a hold of. But if you can track one down, I think it's worth it. She fits in really well with your more cosmically powered characters. We do have that Fire Lord character that just got revealed, and she would look really, really cool next to him. Or you can put her next to a Human Torch figure. Or if you have the other versions of Carol, there was the Miss Marvel figure that came in a 3-pack. There's the Captain Marvel comic book figure that had like the either masked head or the regular head. Having a lineup of those different forms of the same character would also look very, very cool. Now, I will admit that Carol Danvers is not my favorite character, and that's more so due to how she's been portrayed in recent years. Because as Miss Marvel, I always found her very interesting, and her whole personality just kind of underwent a pretty dramatic retcon when she took on the Captain Marvel persona. and made her really one of the least likable characters in Marvel Comics. I mean, she has caused so much woe for people, and it's only because like her personality is just garbage. So I do have mixed feelings about picking up a toy of her, but at least this is a toy of Carol from a simpler time, which is a much more sympathetic and likable character. So I enjoy having this. Maybe I'll go out of my way to track down the Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel versions eventually, if I can get them for a good price. Because I would like to have the different forms of the character. I do like, kind of reminiscing about the older comic years when things were, I don't know, just more to my taste, I suppose. So yeah, if you can track one of these down, if you have a Walmart or a Walgreens near you, I keep saying Walmart, if you have a Walgreens near you, or you can manage to get her if she comes in stock again online, I would pick her up. She's a fun enough figure. I don't think there are any other, Fire Lady figures out there. I think she's the only female character that's just pretty much all made of fire. So she does have that unique aesthetic about her. Of course, this is just how I feel about this toy, so now I want to know what you all think of it. Do you have any desire to pick up Binary? Is she a character you have any attachment to? Did you ever read the comics back when Carol became Binary and it's something you wanted to pick up? Do you like the way the toy came out? Or do you not want this? Either you don't like the look of it, you don't like the character, just too obscure for you, or maybe you just don't feel like tracking down a Walgreens exclusive, which is understandable. Any and all feedback is always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the Walgreens exclusive Marvel Legends Binary. And with all that said, I will see you next time.